Rhinos in Africa are brutally killed for their horns due to the perceived medicinal value in certain cultures. We live in a world where there is a real need for a rhino orphan rehabilitation and care center.
The reason why it started was that a cabinet minister in Vietnam announced publicly that he was cured of his prostate cancer by using rhino horn, and then it suddenly escalated. And it was a big thing in South Africa.
When a mother rhino is killed, her infant is left to fend for itself, and unless rescued, usually dies of dehydration or is preyed on by lions, hyenas, or leopards.
Nobody's ever said anything about the calves. Nobody. And no one knew what was happening with the calves. Well, I didn't know, because we started this facility by accident. They euthanized the calves because there was no facility.
During my time as a volunteer with African Conservation Experience, I was able to participate in the rescue mission of a 5-week-old baby rhino. His mother disappeared, and the orphan was left alone for several days until the people from veterinary organization Saving the Survivors found him and cared for him until he was strong enough to be moved to the Rhino Orphanage. My heart is pounding right now. It's very exciting. I have incredible mixed feelings right now. I'm scared, I'm anxious, I'm excited. Another rhino was poached, and now this baby's coming. We don't know a lot of information about it yet, but we are about to find out, and the team is going to do everything in their power to save another rhino's life.
He was found in the bush, running around by himself. We couldn't find his mom. We're still looking. This was now last week, Tuesday. The rangers basically waited to see if they can find his mom. They put a drone up in the air, and they couldn't find her anywhere near.
What does that mean?
She's just gone. We don't know what happened.
He's very scared because it's all new smells, new sounds, new surroundings. So he's a tiny baby and feels the need to defend himself.
The Rhino Orphanage, which is the first center ever in the world that started offering care to orphaned and injured baby rhinos with the final goal of releasing them back into the wild. The team here provides not only medical treatment, but also emotional and physical support to those traumatized babies until the moment when they're ready to go back into the wild. There are too many people that see value in rhino's horn, but no value in rhino's life, a life of a key species in our ecosystem.
It will be very good if you can re-educate 1/3 of the world's population. It's going to be very difficult. Remember, rhino horn has been part of traditional Chinese medicine for a very long time. But that is one point that we have to push, and that is to re-educate the people that use rhino horn. There's so much money involved in this whole poaching pandemic. Statistically, the numbers of poaching is dropping, but the main reason why the numbers are dropping is there are less rhinos. It's more difficult to find them. Because of our ignorance and because of man's greed, we've lost one of the greatest species that ever walked this earth. Kruger has lost almost 80% of their rhino population, Kruger National Park, 80% of their rhino population in 10 years' time. That's why every single rhino is so important.
So what can we do? We can learn the depth of the rhino crisis so we can treat the cause, not the symptoms. We can learn about those species and their importance in our ecosystem. And this is exactly what the team here does.
We need everyone to pull. Every single person on this planet, every country, and we need the countries outside, especially the first world, to put pressure on the governments of Southern Africa to say, listen, do something.
We can volunteer, spend time with like-minded people, spend time with those animals, learn about the crisis and see what goes into the work here. Support them physically with cleaning, preparing the food, feeding, monitoring, and keeping team spirit up.
we still need, at this stage of the game, people to take out the word about poaching, create awareness about the fact that horns are nothing but keratin. They've got no medicinal value. And then also just how special rhinos are and why we need them around. They are incredibly intelligent animals. We need to conserve them. There's no other way about it. So we'd like our volunteers to get the full experience and leave here knowing what we know.
Take Dwayne, for example, a healthy living medical sensation, a first ever successful case of rhino blood transfusion.
Made the orphans available to UNESCO veterinary faculty a couple of years ago because they needed to study enrofloxacin and also the effects of pain medication on rhinos. We've also had postdoc researchers here doing specialized research on the behavioural aspects of post-release orphans. And then the rhino monitor that follows the released rhinos, she is studying their behaviour, how they integrate and how they utilise reserves and that sort of thing. Here at the facility ourselves, we have done a study on the parasites of rhinos. That's one of the husbandry aspects that there's not a lot of information on. A lot of the places tend to want to deworm rhinos, but we believe that there's a very, very unique relationship. We found just the opposite. We found that the higher the number of nematode or roundworm, layman's terms, roundworms, the higher the amount of eggs in the gut, the better the body condition seems. You don't find rhino parasites in any other animal, which indicates there's a special relationship. So there's definitely something worth investigating there. We were very lucky to receive a donation of blood machines from Abaxis 3 years ago, 2019, and we're utilizing those machines whenever the opportunity presents itself to draw blood on rhinos. So if we get a critical rhino or a little rhino like this guy, and it's not in perfect condition, it doesn't seem healthy, there seems to be something wrong, we run bloods on it and then we have a database to compare with. If we don't have a database, we've got nothing to compare with. So we're trying our best to gather as many samples as we can and get as many readings on the bloods as we can for different ages.
We can donate. Upkeeping such big complex creatures is expensive. Since the government doesn't provide financial support, the Rhino Orphanage and other facilities like that fully depend on donations that come from kind and caring people and volunteers.
For me, it was a way to find out which career path I wanted to go, because I met all these amazing and very, very inspiring people with different careers and different thoughts and different ways of doing things. I became more sure of what I wanted to do. It has been absolutely amazing so far. I have 2 weeks left and I'm really, really sad that I am not able to stay here forever.
The volunteers are actually quite important because they come in with new enthusiasm and a fresh approach, and it's just so nice because we're exposed to it every single day. We kind of forgotten along the lines of how, you know, that feeling you get when you see it for the first time, and we actually just experience it through each and every volunteer's reaction. So it's really nice and it's really motivating. It's really motivating.
ACE has been absolutely amazing to work with. They have been so supportive and they have really done everything they could to make us feel seen, if you can say so. They have helped us every time we had questions. They were there 24/7.
The whole process is all very real. Like, you speak to real people there. They are there to make sure that they can fulfill what you want and what you want to get out of it, and that's really nice. So even though you've now paid and you're here, they still want to make sure that you are having the best time possible, and that makes it really worth it going through a company like ACE.
Yeah, and on top of that, the projects that they can give you, they are also very real. You're not just some kind of volunteer who walks around and are not really a part of the place and you don't really do anything. It's actually real projects that do a real difference in the world, and you are a part of that.
It's a very big responsibility, and unfortunately the rhino babies bond so strongly with people. And you know, it's like a dog. Some rhinos will bond or click, let's put it in layman's terms, they'll click with a person more than they do with someone else. The volunteers are more involved with the husbandry side of things, preparing milk. They do help to feed the baby's milk. They'll help with the cleaning and feeding the older orphans. We do pull them in, helping to exercise the dogs, so they'll go along and help us walk the dogs and those sorts of things, the anti-poaching dogs. So we're very careful, and we are very strong on the ethics of exposing these babies to too many people.
As long as there are good people in the world, like the staff of the Rhino Orphanage, who are committed and dedicated to bringing rhinos back from extinction, alongside volunteers and supporters that are willing to invest their time and money into understanding more about the crisis and coming here and helping out, there is hope.
Rhino Orphanage, seeing that they have released them back into the wild, they have recently dropped a calf. That's super inspiring, because you see all the hard work that they put into here, but to actually know that that is possible and that they can go back and they're in a safe environment and they feel comfortable and safe enough to breed is just amazing. And that's really inspiring that these people, that's all they work for.
You know, that baby proves. It proves so much to us, you know. You always question yourself. Are you doing something the right way? Are you handling it the right way? Do you need to do something different? But then something like that comes along with an orphaned rhino mating with a wild bull, which shows that she's integrating, and having a calf. And that is just, to me, a sign that we're doing something right.